It started with a whisper no one heard, a breath in the wind, a hush behind the trees, something waiting. 6 friends walked up the long, cracked path toward the old house on the hill. They were laughing. Music played far away like it was coming from underwater. The sky above was thick with clouds, heavy like secrets. The trees didn't move, but something behind them did. Liam reached the door first. It was old, wooden, and red. The kind of red that looked sticky. There was no doorbell. Just a note taped to the wood. Say yes to come in. No name. No handwriting. Just black letters pressed deep into the paper like the pen had teeth. Liam shrugged, smirked, and said, yes. The door clicked open. He stepped inside. Maya followed. Yes, she whispered. The door opened again. One by one they all said it. Yes. 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 6 voices. 6 answers. The house opened for all of them. But what they didn't hear, what no one ever hears, was the sound that came after. A breathless voice behind the door repeating each yes in a whisper, keeping them like promises. Inside the house was cold. Too cold. The lights flickered like they were scared. Music played from somewhere deep below, but no one could find the speakers. There was no one else there. No host. No other guests. Just them. And the door slowly closing behind them and locking. Liam laughed. Creepy vibe, huh? Bet it's a prank. But the house didn't laugh. The house listened. At 8 o'clock, the first scream came. It echoed from the upstairs hallway, long, sharp, wet. They found Liam's phone lying in the hallway. It was still recording a voice message. Just static. No Liam. Only a smear of something red on the floor. Red and thick. The front door wouldn't open. Neither would the windows. They were stuck. Someone's playing games, said Maya, but her voice was shaking. They huddled together in the living room, trying not to blink. The fire in the fireplace didn't give off heat. It just moved like it was breathing. At 9 o'clock it took Sarah. She was just gone. No sound. No scream this time. Only her shoes were left behind, still standing. Who's doing this? Shouted Ben. The walls didn't answer. But the hallway lights blinked once, twice, 6 times. Then the music got louder. A soft voice sang from nowhere. You said yes, and now you're mine. At 10 o'clock the lights died. Everything turned black. Only the sound of footsteps remained, soft ones, too many feet. Something crawling. They couldn't run. The house changed every time they turned around. Doors moved. Hallways stretched. The kitchen disappeared. And behind them, always just out of sight, something followed. At 11, Maya was pulled into the walls. She didn't scream. She just looked back once, her eyes wide, and mouthed the word, "Don't." At midnight, only Ben was left. He sat by the front door whispering, "No, no, no," over and over like a prayer. The house creaked. The handle turned. And something whispered from behind the door in a voice just like Liam's. "Do you want to come inside?" Ben didn't move. Didn't answer. The door waited. So did the thing on the other side. It would wait forever if it had to, because it only needed one word. Just one. Yes. The door didn't open. Ben sat frozen on the floor, knees pulled to his chest. The house around him groaned like it was waking up after a long sleep. Somewhere deep inside the walls, something moved. Slow. What? Listening. He remembered what Maya had said before she was taken. Her last word, "Don't." He didn't say yes. He didn't speak at all. But the house was listening anyway. The air grew colder. The fire in the hearth had gone out, but the ashes glowed faint red, like eyes. Ben looked around the room. It was wrong now. The paintings on the walls showed different things. Before, they had been old portraits of strangers. Now they showed his friends. All 5 of them. But their eyes were blacked out, their mouths gone. Each face twisted in fear. He backed away. The floor beneath him sighed. Something behind the walls whispered again. Louder now. Say it. Say yes. Let us in. Ben shook his head. But the house doesn't need answers. Not really. It only needs cracks. Cracks in the voice. Cracks in the courage. Cracks in the will. And Ben was starting to crack. He ran upstairs, the wooden steps creaking like teeth grinding. The hallway was longer now. Endless. Doors lined both sides, all closed. Except one. Sarah's voice came from behind it. "Ben? It's okay. I'm here. Come in." He reached for the handle. It was warm. Beating. Like a heart. Ben pulled his hand back. "No," he whispered. Behind the door, Sarah laughed, but it wasn't Sarah's laugh. It was something trying to wear her voice like a mask. He turned and ran. But the hallway shifted. Now every door had someone behind it calling his name. "Ben, please. It's me, Liam. Help us. We're cold. We're still alive." He covered his ears, but the voices slithered in anyway. Inside his head. Inside his thoughts. The house was listening from inside now. In one room he found Maya's shoes again. But this time her legs were still in them. Just the legs. Nothing else. Folded neatly like laundry. Ben screamed. The house purred. A low, deep sound, pleased. He found a mirror in the hallway. He hadn't noticed it before. It didn't show his reflection. Just the living room again, empty except for a figure standing in the corner. Tall. Wrapped in black fabric like a curtain. Its face was a blank, white mask, painted with a red smile. In the mirror, it turned its head slowly and looked at him. Ben spun around. Nothing behind him. He looked back into the mirror. Now the figure was closer. He ran again, heart thudding, feet slipping on the wooden floors slick with something he wouldn't name. Down the stairs. Past the front door. He didn't try to open it. He knew it wouldn't work. Instead he sat, right there on the floor, and whispered one word to the darkness. No. The house went still. The wind outside stopped. The walls tightened, groaning, like the house was holding its breath. Waiting. Ben sat there all night. Eyes wide. Hands shaking. He didn't sleep. He didn't speak. In the house. Listen. At dawn the door creaked. Slowly. Just an inch. Just enough. Ben didn't move. The house moaned with hunger. Disappointment. Then from behind the door that same voice whispered again. Another one is coming. They'll say yes. They always do. And in the distance, footsteps on the gravel. Laughter. Another group of friends. Another night waiting to begin. Another whisper ready to ask. Do you want to come inside? Ben never left the house. He never moved from the floor. He barely breathed. And the house, patient as a grave, waited with him. By morning, the sky outside was pale and thin, like a sheet stretched too tight. Fog curled around the windows like fingers, tapping gently, begging to be let in. Then, footsteps, crunching gravel, laughter, voices bright and alive. Ben's heart dropped. They were here. Another group. 6 again. 3 boys. 3 girls. Their names were different. But the shape of them, the way they smiled, the way they joked, the way they didn't know, it was all the same. Ben tried to scream. No sound came out. The house had already taken his voice. They stood at the red door. Saw the note. Say yes to come in. And one by one. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. 6 times. Ben wanted to cry. The door opened for them like a mouth opening for a meal. They entered laughing, shouting, recording on their phones. What is this place? A prank? An escape room? They didn't see Ben curled up in the shadows. They didn't hear the soft grinding of something shifting above them. At exactly 8 p.m., the old grandfather clock in the corner struck once. Dong. Everyone paused. Then, nothing. They shrugged and kept dancing. The music came on by itself. The lights pulsed. Red, blue, red, blue. But Ben heard it. In the hum of the bass. Beneath the beat. A whisper. One every hour. At 9 p.m. the first death came. Her name was Jess. She was drinking soda in the kitchen, talking about haunted houses. She took one step toward the fridge, and the floor opened beneath her. Just like that. No scream. Just a thump deep below. Her friends ran in and saw nothing. Just the soda bottle rolling across the tiles. At 10 o'clock, the fire lit itself. Too hot. Too fast. Too hungry. Liam, the new Liam, not the one before, screamed as the flames wrapped around him. But the fire didn't spread. It stayed in the fireplace, burning only him. And when it was done, he was gone. No ashes, no bones, just a scarf, folded neatly on the rug. Dong. 11 o'clock. One of them locked herself in the bathroom, shaking, crying, calling her mom over and over. She looked into the mirror. Her reflection smiled. Then the mirror shattered from the inside, dragging her in like water breaking. Only her phone was left, still recording. When they played it back, her last word wasn't help. It was yes. Ben watched from the shadows, tears dried on his face. He knew now. The house fed on agreement. It didn't take what wasn't given, but it could trick them, lure them, coax a yes from their lips without them even knowing. And then it smiled. Every hour, every yes, another death, another bite. At midnight, only one girl remained. She was small, quiet, and scared. She hadn't said anything since the first death. She wandered into the living room, shaking. Ben stepped out of the dark. She gasped. He put a finger to his lips. "Don't say it," he whispered. "Don't say anything." The house rumbled. Walls moaned. Lights blinked furiously, furious. She looked at him. He looked back. The hour was ticking. Dong. Something cracked in the ceiling. And from the corner of the room, the tall figure appeared again. The smile painted on its face was wider now, redder. It pointed at the girl. Then it opened its mouth. "Do you want to come inside?" Ben screamed, finally. "No. Don't answer. Don't speak." The girl shook, trembling. The house shook with her. The air grew thick, black threads curling around her ankles. The figure waited, smiling. So, time stopped. And then the girl whispered, "No." The figure flickered. Once, twice, gone. The black threads shriveled like burned paper. The fire went out. The music stopped. The lights dimmed. The house sighed, like it had lost its appetite. Ben collapsed. So did the girl. And for the first time since the first whisper, the house was quiet. But outside, the fog thickened again. Another group was on the way. And the note on the door? It had been changed. Now it read, "Ask before you knock." Because even hunger must sometimes evolve. The girl didn't speak for hours. Not even after the walls stopped moving. Not after the music died. Not even after Ben fell asleep with his back against the door, as if he could hold the house shut by will alone. She just stared at the fireless hearth. Eyes wide, mouth tight, hands clasped so hard her knuckles turned white. She knew now. Every word meant something here. And some words opened doors that should stay closed. By morning, Ben stirred. He looked older. His eyes were sunken. His lips cracked. And he didn't ask her name, because asking is an invitation. And the house listens. Always. They moved quietly together, step by step, door to door. Every knob was cold. Every mirror was cracked. And every shadow seemed to lean just a little too close. They didn't speak. They didn't whisper. Not even once. The house didn't like that. Around 1 p.m., the wall started knocking. First softly, then harder. Then from both sides of the hallway at once, like something was trying to find them by sound. Ben froze mid-step. The girl held her breath. They didn't move. They didn't answer. The knocking stopped, but the doors were bleeding. On the wall ahead, something had been scratched in with broken fingernails. "Say nothing, die last." Ben stared at it. The girl stared at him. But neither said a word. They reached the kitchen. The fridge was gone. In its place, a gaping black hole where the tile should have been. Cold air drifted out. It smelled like teeth. A small speaker sat on the table. No cord, no switch, just a speaker. It clicked once like it was clearing its throat. Then it said in a cheerful voice, "Do you like it here?" The girl backed up. Ben shook his head. No sound. The speaker hissed. "Rude." A knife lifted off the counter. Floated. Spun. Flew. Ben ducked just in time. It stabbed the wall behind him, deep, humming. The speaker giggled. "Someone always talks eventually." They ran. The house like that. The lights blinked. The walls pulsed. The carpets writhed underfoot like wet tongues. But they said nothing. Nothing. At 3 p.m. they found the game room. Only now it wasn't a game room. It was filled with TV screens. Each one showed a different room in the house. Each one played a loop. In one, Liam was laughing, over and over. In another, Jess fell through the floor again, and again, and again. One screen showed Ben asleep by the door. Another showed the girl, eyes wide in the firelight. But one screen was black. Just words. White. Blinking. Speak to play. Ben turned it off. The screen turned back on by itself. The blinking got faster. Speak to play. Speak to play. Speak to PL. He smashed the screen. Cracked. Then screamed. A full human scream. The lights went out. Total blackness. In the dark, the speaker returned, whispering now, right behind their ears. Silence is rude. We can hear your thoughts. Do you want to scream yet? They didn't. They clutched hands. They moved forward, step by step, blind, until, light. A single bulb hanging from the ceiling. Underneath it, a table. And on it, a radio. The girl reached for it. Ben grabbed her wrist. Too late. It clicked on. The same cheerful voice from before. Hello again. Are you ready to talk? The girl closed her eyes. Ben whispered, one word barely sound. No. The radio sparked, exploded, and the ceiling cracked. A scream poured out, not from them, from the house. Walls slammed shut. Rooms twisted. The hallway behind them vanished. But ahead, a door. Wooden. Red. Waiting. No note this time. Just a handle. Ben and the girl stood there, listening, waiting. Nothing spoke. For once the house was quiet. Truly quiet. Ben touched the knob. Paused. He didn't ask if she was ready. She didn't answer. And that, perhaps, saved them both. The red door didn't creak. Simply opened, without being touched. Ben and the girl stepped through, quiet as ghosts. They didn't hold hands anymore. The air between them had changed. They had survived by saying nothing. But the house had learned something new. Could make them choose. The room beyond was white. Too white. Like a hospital that had forgotten what blood looked like. In the center stood a chair. Beside it, a table with a single object. A scalpel. And on the wall, printed in red, sit to save. Ben blinked. The girl stared at the sign. It didn't ask for a yes. It didn't ask anything at all. Just a suggestion. An offer. An open door inside the mind. A timer appeared on the wall. 60 seconds. 59. 60. No sound. Just ticking numbers. Ben looked at the girl. She shook her head, almost crying. The timer kept going. Their hearts beat louder than their footsteps ever did. Ben stepped forward. Paused. He didn't want to sit, but the house wanted him to. And that wanting pulled like a hook behind the eyes. The closer he got, the more the chair seemed to breathe. The scalpel gleamed like a grin. The red letters on the wall bled downward, slow, deliberate drips. He turned away. The timer stopped at 10. It didn't count down again. Instead, the wall behind them split open, revealing a hallway of mirrors. Not reflections. Memories. Each mirror showed them something from their past. Ben laughing with his friends. Ben saying yes. Ben inviting everyone to this party. The girl's mirrors showed her crying in a bathroom. Her friends knocking. Her whispering, fine, I'll come. Behind each memory, the tall figure loomed. Smiling. Always smiling. They walked through the hallway. The mirrors whispered, you said yes. You wanted this. This is yours now. Ben tried to close his eyes. He still saw the words. Because the truth isn't in the eyes. It's in the wanting. The next room was dark. Only a spotlight lit the middle. In it, a telephone. Rotary. Black as oil. It rang once. A ring. Then silence. A sign next to it read, you don't have to answer. But someone will. Ben stepped back. The girl didn't move. The phone rang again. Then again. And again. Faster now. Ben reached out. The girl grabbed his hand. Shook her head. Art. He stopped. The phone stopped. A soft sigh filled the room. Then a whisper from nowhere. Very good. You're learning. A door slid open behind them. Inside, another chair. This one already had someone in it. A boy. Eyes wide. Mouth stitched shut. Hands tied to the arms with wire. Across his chest, the words had been carved. He said yes in his heart. The body slumped forward. Something dripped onto the floor. It wasn't blood. It was blacker, thicker, like regret made real. Ben turned to the girl. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The house had figured out the trick. Words were one kind of consent, but now it hunted for another. Desire. Choice. The flicker inside the brain that said, I want to live, even if someone else must die. They entered the final room of the floor. There were 2 buttons. One blue, one red. Above them, a speaker crackled to life. Only one leaves. Only one breathes. Press to proceed. Ben looked at the girl. She looked at him. Then, they both stepped away. They didn't press. They didn't speak. They didn't decide. The lights flickered. The buttons began to melt. The speaker screamed, choose. But they didn't, because silence was still a blade. And choosing, even in silence, would be a cut. The floor cracked. The walls buckled. The door behind them swung wide. Another passage, deeper, darker. And somewhere, far below, a whisper echoed. They still haven't said yes. The hallway twisted behind them. It was no longer straight, no longer flat. The floor curved like a question mark, bending inward and downward, like something had swallowed part of the world and they were walking into its stomach. Ben and the girl moved slowly, quietly. But the house was done being quiet. It started with a hum, soft at first, like a song trapped in the pipes. Ben paused, tilted his head. He recognized it. It was his voice, laughing. From 2 nights ago, at the gas station. Come on, it said. This party's gonna be insane. The laugh was followed by a whisper. You wanted this. The girl heard it too. Only hers was different. A small sob. Then her mother's voice. Are you sure you want to go? You could just stay home, sweetheart. Then her voice echoing across the ceiling. Yes, I'll go. The hallway lights flickered. Not on. Not off. Something between. Ben and the girl moved faster now. The air was thick. Too warm. Too aware. At the end of the hallway, the door opened by itself. They stepped inside. And there they saw themselves. 2 life-size figures. Shadows made of smoke. Faces soft and hollow. But wearing their clothes. Sitting at a table. Smiling. Ben's double looked up. Its eyes were hollow. Its mouth opened slowly. You should say something. The girl's echo turned its head. It's rude to keep secrets. The real Ben backed away. The girl gripped his hand, tight now. The smoke figures stood. And began to walk. Not toward them. Through them. They passed like cold wind. But left behind a scent. Rotten lilies. Burned teeth. Behind them the table changed. Now 6 chairs. 6 plates. 6 forks. Each with a name scratched into the ceramic. Ben. Just. Liam. Tasha. Miles. And the girl. Only hers had no name. Just the word. She. The chairs began to pull out on their own. One at a time. Screech. 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 A voice from above, broken like a skipping record. Dinner is ready. Sit. 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 They didn't sit. The room turned cold. Very cold. Their breath came out in misty clouds. The windows fogged. And from behind the glass, the others stared in. Not alive. Not dead. Eyes too wide. Smiles too still. Each mouthing one word. Yes. The plates on the table filled. Not with food. With pieces. Air. Names. Little slips of paper soaked red. Each paper read the same. You let this happen. Ben slammed the table. I didn't want this, he shouted. The moment the words left his mouth, the lights exploded. The house screamed. 100 voices at once. Ben clutched his head. The girl grabbed his arm. No, she whispered. Don't talk. Not anymore. But it was too late. The house had heard him. And it had taken that want, twisted it. Walls shifted. The room stretched. And in the corner now stood Ben's mother, or someone wearing her face. She was weeping, saying, Why didn't you stay home, Ben? Why did you go? Behind her, the girl's brother appeared, whispering, You left me. You always do. The ghosts of guilt. Not real, but real enough. Ben dropped to his knees, covered his ears. Still he heard it. Say it. Say you're sorry. say you'd change it all. But the girl, she stood still. She didn't speak. She didn't blink. She didn't even cry. And when the ghost reached for her, she turned and bit her own tongue. Not to hurt herself, to hold the words in. Because that was the final truth. The house can't steal what you won't give. The ghosts dissolved. The plates cracked. The windows shattered inward. No glass, just wind. And in the silence that followed, a door opened. This one wasn't red. It wasn't white. It was black as a closed eye. Waiting. Ben stood. The girl helped him walk. And though he wanted to say thank you, though he wanted to say her name, he didn't. Because some words once spoken never stop echoing. The black door closed behind them without a sound. No click. No slam. Just sealed silence, like they'd never existed outside it at all. This new place was wrong. Wrong in how still it was. Wrong in how warm the air felt. Not the warmth of comfort. The warmth of breath. Of something close. Watching. Waiting. The room had no walls. Or maybe the walls were just too dark to see. There was no ceiling, but something above still dripped. And at the center stood a single light. Not a lamp. A floodlight. A stage. Ben and the girl stepped forward together. Then the speaker clicked on. It didn't hiss. It didn't echo. It spoke. Clearly. Calmly. With Ben's voice. "You've come far." They froze. The speaker laughed. A perfect copy of Ben's real laugh. "You've been good. So good. But you're tired, aren't you?" A second Ben stepped into the light. Not a ghost. Not a shadow. A mirror-made flesh. Same hoodie. Same cut on the chin. Same frightened eyes. Except this one smiled. He stepped forward. Held out a hand. "You can stop running. Just say yes." Ben stumbled back. The fake Ben mirrored him, tilting its head. Gentle. Soft. "You didn't want to hurt anyone. You just wanted a party. A good time." It gestured to the dark. "Look what happened. People died. Because of you." The girl stepped in front of him, shielding him. The copy blinked. Then it smiled wider, a grin too full of teeth. It said her name. The real one. The one she hadn't told anyone at the party. "You don't belong with them anyway, do you? Always the extra. The outsider." The girl's jaw clenched. Ben whispered, "Don't listen." But the copy had already changed. Now it looked like her. Same hair. Same trembling hands. "They only invited you to fill a seat. He would have left you behind if he had the choice." Ben shouted, "Stop." The room flashed. The light turned red. The other him turned again. This time older. Tired. A version of Ben who looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. He held out both hands. No threats. No grin. Just exhaustion. "Don't you want it to be over? We can go back. Before the party. Before any of this. You just have to say it." The girl touched Ben's arm. Soft. Warm. She shook her head. One word. One whisper. "No." The lights roared. The walls howled. The voice screamed in every direction. Ben's voice, her voice, their friends' voices. All saying the same thing. "Yes. Yes. 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 Yes." But Ben pressed his palms over his ears. And did not speak. He turned to the fake version of himself, now twitching under the floodlight. Its eyes burned white. Its mouth bent in agony. It couldn't survive without permission. Without consent. The girl walked toward it. "Calm now." And whispered again. "No." The fake Ben screamed. Split down the middle. Smoke poured out. The voice shattered like glass inside a bell jar. The light exploded above. And from the wreckage of sound and silence, a door appeared. Final. Simple. Wood. Burned at the edges. A sign hung crooked on it. Written in ash. "The last question." Ben looked to the girl. She nodded. They touched the door together. It was warm. Not with light. Not with hope. But with waiting. The door didn't creak when it opened. It sighed. And from that sigh came cold wind, dry and still, like the breath of a thing that had been waiting for centuries. Ben and the girl stepped through. The room was small, wooden, empty. A single chair in the center. A circle of salt drawn neatly around it. On the far wall, a mirror, fractured, but still whole enough to show your face, or what's left of it. Above the mirror, carved into the wood in deep, splintered letters, "One may leave, if one says yes." Ben froze. The girl didn't. She walked slowly to the mirror, looked into it. Her reflection smiled. Not cruelly, not wickedly, just calm. Too calm. The girl turned to him. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I think this is it." Ben said nothing. He looked at the chair, the salt circle, the mirror, then at her. Her face still bled a little. Her lips were cracked from keeping too many words behind them. She said, "If one of us says yes, the other gets out." Ben stepped closer. His chest felt tight, like the air itself was watching. "What if neither of us does?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The house had made it clear. It needed a yes. One yes. Only one. A speaker crackled above them. This time it wasn't a voice. It was a lullaby. A slow, sweet song. Ben recognized it. It was the song his mother used to hum when he had nightmares. The girl began to cry. The mirror glowed faintly. And in the reflection, Ben saw something impossible. Himself. Older. Smiling. Sitting on a porch with a wife and child. Safe. Alive. The wind through the trees. The sky clear. Laughter in the distance. The speaker whispered, "Say yes. Sit in the chair. Give the house your consent. And you will live." Ben turned to the girl. She was shaking. Not from fear. From knowing. She stepped toward the chair. Ben stopped her. "No," he said. "You've been strong. Smarter than me. You kept quiet. You held on." Her lips trembled. Ben walked to the chair. But before he crossed the salt circle, she pushed him back. Art. He stumbled. Fall. And when he looked up, she was sitting in the chair. The mirror turned black. The salt began to smoke. She looked at him through the haze, tears running down her cheeks. Her voice cracked but steady. "Yes." The room shook. The mirror exploded inward. A door appeared behind Ben, glowing gold. A way out. The house had what it wanted, and it was letting go. Of him. Not her. Ben crawled forward, screamed her name. But the salt had become fire. The chair burned slowly. She did not scream. She smiled. A final whisper filled the room. Not the house. Not the mirror. Go. Ben staggered to his feet, tears in his eyes. He looked one last time at the girl, the only one who had never said yes until it mattered. And then he stepped through the final door. The morning was pale. The world outside untouched. The house gone behind him. No sirens. No blood. Just birdsong. And a distant breeze that almost sounded like a girl humming. Ben never spoke of what happened. Never explained how he survived. No one ever found the house again. Because it wasn't built. It was invited. And it only comes back when someone else whispers. Yes. The end. If you're still breathing, congratulations. You survived another tale from Majesty Horror Story. But the nightmare doesn't end here. Hit subscribe, tap that like button, and share this story, or she might pay you a visit tonight. Don't forget, they're watching who doesn't share. Sleep tight.